Hello, everyone. Welcome to FPL BlackBox ahead of Gameweek 30. Mr. Tech himself has been relegated to the by the washing machine. Is it, Mark? Is that where you're?
And by the dishwasher in the kitchen. And remember the days where we used to record up there at the end. I say up there like you can see. Well, I can see. You can't, can you? Because you're not outside my window, are you? Not this time. Well, the police stopped you doing that, didn't they? So,
not me, but I know what you mean. Yeah,
we used to film and I used to be working in my lounge, and that was down that end of the room. Now I'm down the other end where the robotic Hoover lives. If you remember, the Hoover came on a few times while we were filming the early black boxes.
Yeah.
I should explain that on Saturday we were at Forest Brighton, and Billy texted me to say we have a problem. The PC's broken and all the power's gone in the shed, and that is basically where I am. I have no PC. And all the power's gone in the shed. So I've got an electrician coming tomorrow. My PC's going away for repair. So I'm in the kitchen on a Mac trying to make do.
If anyone's wondering how it went for us in the Black Box Derby, going to our first game together, Yell and I were an hour and a half late because we got stuck in traffic. We then arrived and Mark got the message that his shed was borderline completely screwed. We then witnessed the most boring game, I think, of all time. Hospitality was rubbish. There wasn't unlimited pies. The service was really weird. And then we parted ways.
And Brighton lost. So, that cheered me up no end, obviously. But yeah, it wasn't a great experience for you. You've had a really tumultuous few days, haven't you, with the traffic? You had 4 hours on the way back, didn't you, as well?
Yeah, well, we had a nice day yesterday. I went to visit my parents. They're renting up down in Hove. And then, then got stuck on the Dartford Bridge again for the second time in 2 days. Another 4 hours getting back. Absolute nightmare. But, parts of it were nice. It was nice to see you. I enjoyed the one Guinness I had before they ran out of Guinness. The match, though, bloody hell, that game was just...
New node. That's exactly how we wanted it to go. That's fine. Low block. You didn't have any ideas. And we should have won. That was a penalty.
It was not a penalty.
He caught his leg. He caught his foot and caused him to lose balance. It's a foul. It's got to be a foul.
It was. If any of you wondered how biased we'd be watching the game, we were both right in front of it, and we both saw it. And I straight away went, "That's ridiculous." You went, "Nope, you clipped him."
Yeah, he got him with his arm. I said, "Have you seen the replay? He got him with his arm."
No, never.
It's a penalty.
Soft.
Referee gave it. Anyway, not to worry. It all ended well in the end for me. Anyway.
Oh dear. There's a video of you clapping the Forest fans and the players, and I'm just there like.
I wanted to be down there with them. That was really annoying being around the Brighton fans. So, yeah. Anyway, it's going to be a short episode tonight because obviously this temporary equipment and temporary setup, I can't be up late with that.
Banish the family upstairs.
I know the family have had to go to bed early, 8 o'clock. The dogs need their sleep. I need my sleep. So unfortunately, we can only do a short episode tonight. So apologies in advance for that. But we're all playing your wildcards. We had to do something.
We had to do something. Yeah, my wildcard's been active for nearly 2 weeks, or over 2 weeks, I think. So it was nice to finally make some changes. I've gained about 0.3, I think, having played it, and I'm not regretting having played it. So that's all good.
Well, not now. Not now. Everyone's playing it.
Well, why is everyone playing it? We've literally, hot off the press from Fabrizio Romano, Haaland is going to miss a significant part of the season, as he said, until he's better. He obviously took that heavy tackle. He's went down. We saw him in a protective boot afterwards. And I think there will be lots of people out there who bought Haaland in last week who are now hovering over that wildcard button. And Mr. Mark Southerns, you are one of them. Are you what are you going to do it?
I've got to, I think, because I've got no Salah, so I haven't got a captain. When you show my team later on, you'll be able to see. Not too much later on now, but I would have no Salah, and I'd have to get Mamouche in and captain Mamouche and not have Salah. And it doesn't make any sense because I might as well wildcard now instead of 31. And we know enough, I think, and I'm sure you're going to talk about that in terms of what Ben Crellin's put together and so on, where I think the risk, even though we don't have the exact game weeks where the fixtures are going to fall, the risk of that is outweighed significantly by the points difference between not wildcarding and wildcarding, I think, because I think I'd get 10 to 12 extra points, or maybe more, because, Salah could haul. I can't put Haaland on the bench, can I? And I can't have 8 million in the bank, which is why I'd have 8 million in the bank and no Salah. Makes no sense whatsoever, does it? So I think I've got to do it. The trouble is, unlike you, I haven't had 2 weeks to contemplate what to do. I'm going to have about 10 minutes. So you've had the 2-week wildcard. I'm probably going to have the version of the 2-minute wildcard. I'm going to do it at work.
I don't think it helped. I don't think it's helped having 2 weeks to work out what to do. I mean, I think I think Palace I was expecting to go through, and I was sort of working out what I was going to do with that. But I think there's still some questions to be asked around which Palace assets we go to. I've seen a few people like FPL Nightmare being like, wildcard is so easy, it's the easiest choice ever. I think a lot of them are pretty set. Like, you're going to get Marmoush, you're going to get Mateta, you're going to have Isak. Like, the front three are pretty much set in stone. But I think there's still some decisions to be made elsewhere, and I'm seeing a few different things people are doing. So my big decision was Haaland versus Marmoush, and that, you can't plan for that, because I'd been looking at drafts. I'd say 90% of my drafts over the last 2 weeks have had Haaland in. So,
of course, yeah.
So then suddenly getting all that money, and suddenly getting all that money. They were going to have a
double. They're going to have a double, right? So it was always going to be Haaland for that. But it's funny. I said back ahead of Gameweek 29 that if I knew Marmoush was going to start, I would have got him. I was on my way to Forest Ipswich, so I didn't want a chance not having a phone signal, not be able to make my changes. So I made them the night before. And of course, Haaland, Marmoush did start and did very well for you. And had I done that instead of getting Haaland, I probably wouldn't be wildcarding ahead of tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fine margins. I mean, there is 13 points between us now. I had pretty much my best week. I think it's my second best week of the season. I was the top scorer in the Great and the Good, which was very nice. Bruno captain, Marmoush came in. The wild card was always going to be played. It was off the back of my worst week of the season. And then suddenly you have a really good week, and it just shows how quickly things can turn around. But yeah, just 13 points in it.
I think I said as well that Bruno was probably the only player that was going to be popular on a free hit that I didn't have with transfers, and that I didn't fear him that much. And he got, surely that was his biggest return of the season, wasn't it?
Yeah, Leicester? It's got to be. Yeah.
A goal and 2 assists and a maximum bonus. So that was, I guess you could put that down to variance. I mean, Leicester away is always a great fixture, but he's played Southampton at home and not done that kind of damage. So, yeah, I guess it was on the cards. He had a plum fixture, but he damaged me and benefited you far more than I would have expected. I didn't think United would win 3-0. I just didn't.
No, I've just been trying to target Leicester, and it was a complete disaster with Parma the week before, and then it paid off. So, yeah, I'm basically back to exactly where I was before the whole Salah captaincy debacle. So it feels like a massive haul, and it is, but it only really reset the damage. I was surprised with how many people went for Haaland in the Great and the Good. He was in everyone's team, and I was checking my normal leagues. I was surprised that so many people had gone for him. Marmoush was obviously a bit of a... I bought in Marmoush before the league. I got him in the night before. But completely...
Yeah, so you got him in without knowing he'd start, didn't you?
Well, it was completely based on Neil's predicted lineup over on Scout, which that guy is just the master of predicted lineup. So when I saw him starting, and I thought, yeah, do you know what? It makes sense for him to play this game.
Yeah, it did.
And I've got to be honest, I did it, and then as soon as I did it, I was like, why didn't I wait for the league? And then it came in the end, so I could have waited. But anyway, it didn't make too much of a difference. But yeah, just 2 Brunos in the Great and the Good. Pretty much everyone else is Haaland except for Joe, who wasn't able to use his Wood gif or picture that he uses every time Wood scores. So that was a blessing in disguise.
And now Wood's out as well. That's another reason why I've got Chris Wood. So I've got Haaland and Chris Wood.
I've owned him for 2 weeks and got 2 blanks.
I mean, it took a while. I did say that once I get him,
that's true,
the bubble will burst. And he got a hat-trick and another goal, I think, and an assist, but then he's got the injury. So I have kind of cursed him, but it took a long...
Oh, yeah. Hat-trick and a brace and a hat-trick for New Zealand and signing autographs in the crowd.
Hopefully he's back. Hopefully, unlike Haaland, he's back for the semi-final. Doesn't sound like Haaland's going to be. Although, you know what? I kind of fear Man City without Haaland and Marmoush than I do with Haaland.
He's been poor, isn't he?
I thought we handled them well at the City ground, whereas Marmoush, I think Marmoush has got a bit more movement, will cause us a few more problems.
You going? You going to Wembley?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't be any worse hospitality than what we had. So that'd be good. You going with Billy?
I won't have hospitality. I'm not paying for hospitality.
No hospitality. Oh no.
No, not unless I can swing it. No.
I have to up those Patreon numbers before you go. You mentioned Krellin. Let's take a look at Ben Krellin's ticker. So I'm sure most people are sort of aware of what's going on now, but there might be some people watching this and panicking a little bit. We know there's the double game week in 32. That's going to be Palace and Newcastle. We think it's going to be a double for Palace in 33 with Bournemouth and Arsenal. The blank is confirmed in 34 for them because that's when the FA Cup fixtures hit. It's going to be a blank in 34 for Man City, for Aston Villa, and for Newcastle. Ben Crellin predicts double game weeks in 33. I was listening to Planet FPL earlier. James is pretty confident that it's going to be doubles in 33. They could wait and move them till later in the season. Sky could decide that they want to move them because it's TV game, so they've got the same in almost where they go. Essentially, he was saying, but he's 90% sure that the Villa Man City game is going to move into 33. And he's pretty sure that Arsenal Palace is going to move into 33, although it does mean a short turnaround for Palace and the semi-final as well. So that might be a reason why they decided to delay it. But if they reach the final, it's going to be exactly the same situation and they're going to have a turnaround. So it's probably not going to make too much of a difference. Forest Brentford is the other game, but because they've got the Monday night fixture against Brentford, it's very unlikely to fall into 33, and there's a opening for it in 34, so it's probably just going to stay where it is.
Just go back. You said Newcastle weren't playing in 34. You meant Arsenal, just for the podcast.
Did I?
The stream? Yeah, you said Newcastle. So it's Palace, City, Villa, and Arsenal, isn't it?
Yes. You sure I said Newcastle?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, it's all right. That's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's enough now, and it's a good job because I think a lot of people are being forced to wildcard because of the Haaland situation, and so I think we have to put trust in Ben's work, but also what seems like logical sense in terms of where the fixtures will fall. And yeah, there could be some variance in that. I mean, things might not work out perfectly. We've been surprised this season by some of the fixture announcements, haven't we, that come in unexpected. But I think it's worth the gamble, like I say, for me and probably a lot of others. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of wildcards being played.
Yeah.
Praz has announced his wildcard in. General's announced his wildcard in. These were people like me who were going to delay to 31. I think are going now.
Yeah. I mean, one of the reasons why some people were thinking of delaying was for news of Saka. We've got news that he's training. Arteta said he's ready to start. Whether he will or not is another question, but he's ready to start. So there's not that kind of weight around that. In terms of chips, you're going to be using your wild card in 30 or 31. I think if you've still got it. My strategy is wild card in 30. I'm building a bench boost for 32. I think there's some good fixtures in that. It was going to be 33, but Areola was quite a big part of that. And now he hasn't got the double. And it's Liverpool away. It means you've got to spend a bit more on a goalkeeper. And I think, you could be going for like a Reyes Sells combination, but you're spending quite a lot of money on that. So, yeah, you've got to spend a bit more. But I think it lends itself better for 32. And it means you haven't got to worry about some of the games not falling into 33 as well. Because if you build for a 33 wildcard and then some of those games get moved to it later in the season, you might be struggling a bit. Free hit in 34 to cover the players that are definitely blanking in that. That's my strategy. If you've got the assistant manager, I think you want to target that double for Palace potentially. So you probably want to use it in 31 or 32.
If you haven't got triple captain left, yeah.
We don't think you will, right? If you've got assistant manager, you probably haven't got triple captain because you probably would have used it on Salah going forward. But yeah, I think, again, if you've got the assistant manager, I think you want to be wildcarding this week and then you want to be assistant manager in 31 because you want to keep some of your other chips maybe for a bit later on, or you at least want to have the flexibility to be able to move it around in case there are any kind of changes that happen. And then if you've got the triple captain, you could use it in 33, but there's no major... I don't know is it Marmouche that you go for in 33 or Mateta maybe?
Yeah, I'm going to triple captain 32 on Isak.
It's got to be Isak, I think.
Yeah.
It's got to be Isak.
So that pushes me to bench boost 33.
Yeah. So you'll be bench boosting 33. So our teams are going to look slightly different, I think. I think we're going to have a lot of the same players, but given that we will be bench boosting in a different week, we have to make them a little bit different. I can't wait to see your wildcard. You haven't even got one prepared, have you? You haven't even spent any time on it at all.
Yeah. No, because I was still debating about whether to do it. And then obviously that announcement for Fabrizio Romano tonight, like Praz, I probably will press it tonight, but I haven't given any thought to what goes in there yet. And it's going to be very rushed because I'll only have lunchtime at work and probably some time after work, but very limited time after work. And obviously my mind's going to be about Forest anyway. I'm worried about, Forest have got United tomorrow night, so that's on my mind. So yeah, it's not ideal at all, but it is what it is. I think I'm still likely to play it, even though I'm not going to have research time. I still think it's going to benefit me.
Yeah. Saka triple captain 33 says Velin. I think that is a possibility. It's whether he maybe misses one of those games, given that obviously they've got the Real Madrid game, massive game around that. And it's going to be a case of getting him fit for the Real Madrid game, isn't it? And then it's going to be Arteta taking the advice of whoever to make sure he can play both of those legs 90 minutes.
Would you rather have Saka against Ipswich or Palace or Isak in 2 home games, United and Palace?
Yeah. Triple captain on Saka, I just think is a bit risky. And there's not. You could put it on Mateta, but then they've got that Arsenal away game. But then, that is in between the Real Madrid fixtures, isn't it? So maybe that is. I
think Isak.
Yeah.
I think Isak. But with 2 home games, I think that's the key for me. Palace travel well, don't they? So neither Newcastle owned to Palace or Arsenal owned to Palace is an easy game. But yeah, you're right. The Champions League tie really does put a spin on it for Arsenal.
Yep.
It just gives you something to just a little bit of a nagging doubt about what kind of team and what kind of performance they'll put out against Palace. Because by then, Liverpool could have won it.
Yep. Do you want to see a wildcard team?
You've got one prepared, have you? Have you only got one? Are you really settled on it?
I've got mine, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you haven't got variants. You haven't made various versions of it ready to go.
I've got some questions for us to discuss based on the team that I put together. Don't get me wrong, it's not that exciting. I think a lot of wildcard teams going around are fairly similar. Anyway, without further, this is the team that I've put together. So it's Raya in goal, with Kirkez, Gabriel, and Gvardiol. It's Salah, Kluivert, Eze, Sarr, Isak, Marmoush, and Mateta. Verbruggen in goal with Williams, Gordon, who's obviously suspended and carrying a bit of a knock because obviously he didn't go with England to international duty, and Livramento as well. And this has got 3 million in the bank for Gordon to Saka in 33. Potentially. So again, this is with 32 in mind. And the thing with 32 is obviously like Neco Williams has got Everton, Brighton have got a good game against Leicester as well, but you're not going to be picking for Bruggen if you've got a 33 wildcard. I'd be interested to know what you do with Forest as well, given they haven't got the double, whether you go for a Sells or someone like that, or you don't, potentially. But yeah, this is pretty much template, except for the majority of wildcards I'm seeing have got Munoz, and mine hasn't.
Why are you going Gordon? What's the reason behind that?
What's the reason for Gordon? Well, it's Leicester next week, and then a double.
If he's fit.
Well, the other option is Murphy, right? But if he's fit, you'd rather have Gordon than Murphy, and money isn't isn't a problem because we haven't got Haaland.
Yeah, but the only issue is we don't know how bad Gordon's injury is, do we? So you're taking a risk, I think.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in a lot of wildcards from what I've seen. He's no doubt a better player, better asset. I just don't know the significance of that injury. If he's, that's the only thing. I'd have concerns about that. I'd probably would go Murphy. But
Esbam said, "Is there no route to Haaland?" No, because he's not. He's out. He's going to be out until the later season.
Yeah.
It's not an issue. Something like that. Greg says could go Murphy and Trippier. Yeah, Trippier is really popular in teams. I don't know about that. Just to look at some stats. So, Trippier's obviously been playing a fair bit over the last few weeks. Over the last 6, he's had 2 starts in the league. 0.05 XGI non-penalty per 90. Slightly ahead of Burn, who's 0.05. Oh, not slightly ahead. He's exactly the same as Burn, 0.05. Livramento's the top of the Newcastle pile, 0.12.
And he's been popular in wildcard drafts from what I see.
Yeah, well, he's Burn's the cheapest, but with Botman coming back, we don't really know what's going to happen there. It could be Burn moving over and taking Trippier's place, potentially, or it could be him just usurping Burn, or maybe Burn just stays on in the team. There's just a bit of risk, isn't there? With Livramento, we think he's going to start pretty much every game between now and the end of the season.
Yeah.
What
have you done?
5-6.
Have you looked at Munoz? Would it make? Obviously, it mean losing one of Sarr or Eze or Mateta.
Yeah.
You just want to go all in on the attack, do you?
Well, I was looking at the fixtures. I got Munoz in early, so he's currently still in my team because I think I've already got a price rise on him. But when you look at the fixtures, I mean, if we look at the kind of the short-term fixture list, so it's Southampton, obviously amazing. Brighton, Derby, in the loosest sense. Difficult game for both teams. And then it's Man City and Newcastle away. Are we expecting a clean sheet there? Then it's Bournemouth at home. That's a tough one as well. And then if you extend the ticker and look at it even longer, I mean, it's some awful games to end the season. Nottingham Forest, Spurs, and then Liverpool on the final day. I don't know. I just think you can obviously get rid of him and take him out once you're done. But how many clean sheets you see for take away the Southampton game?
I guess. Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, the Southampton game could be punishing, though, couldn't it? That's the only thing. But then, you've got 3 attackers, so you expect the attacker to do better. I see it. I mean, I've got him at the moment. I'm probably going to retain him and go. Will I go? Yeah, I guess I will go Mateta and then make a choice between Sarr and Eze. I'm leaning towards Eze at the moment.
So was I. In the team I had with Munoz, I had Eze over Sarr. But have you seen the midfielder rankings for last 6?
Yeah, he's right up top. He's top, isn't he?
He's top.
No, he's
top.
Yeah.
He is top for midfielders. Really. XGI non-penalty per 90 of 1.02, 3 goals in 5 starts. He's been flirting with these stats, all season. He had a good patch. He had a really bad patch, obviously, when I bought him. And then he's on a really good patch again. But you look at this and think for 5-6, he's arguably should be first choice on a wildcard team. But I was exactly the same as you. Eze's down in 25th. He's looked better in the games I've seen him play. He's having tons of shots, scored in the FA Cup game. He looks like he's starting to get a bit better back to where he was. Much more of a differential. But this is the thing. I wanted them both. And you're not going to go without Mateta because he's just been absolutely ridiculous.
No, probably not. The front 3 picks itself, doesn't it, I think? Isak, Mamouche and Mateta, I think that, like you said at the start, I think they're a given. It's whether you go 2 Palace mids or you go Munoz. I probably will make a choice there because I don't know, just maybe not. See, I've got some gains in Munoz. Depends on the money as well because there's a 6-7, so there's 1.1 difference, significant. That could help. But if you're saying you've got 3 million in the bank, have you?
Yeah, and that's with Gordon. If I do him down to Murphy, I'm gonna have 6 million in the bank.
There's me saying I've got to play the wild card because I can't have 8 million in the bank, but you're going to have 6 having played it.
So much
sure,
money.
Are you sure there's no way around that? You've got Palmer and Salah, right?
I haven't got Palmer.
I
haven't got Palmer. I mean, these are some of the questions that I'm looking at. So these are some of the decisions.
We've talked about the first one.
Yeah, we've talked about Palace. It's whether Gordon's worth the risk. Let's say we don't get any news about him. Didn't sound like a serious injury. He's had the break. I guess if we don't get any news though, it is a gamble to hope he can start. But I could just move him. I could risk it and then take it. I don't really want to use a transfer, but I could do. The alternative is I just start with Saka. I just go with Saka straight away and potentially do like Clivert to Murphy to get that extra double.
I would do it. I would do that.
Yeah, or something like that. But then it's going to be annoying if Saka doesn't start, for example, this week.
Well, I mean, can you not do you have to start Saka in this game week? Can you not bench him?
Yeah,
it's a transfer.
Yeah, could do.
You're definitely going to want him for 33, no question.
Yeah, but I'd want a Newcastle mid, either Murphy or Gordon for 32. I guess because that's the one thing with
Gordon might not play 32 is the issue, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's the thing.
I just don't think he's fine. I just think it's another Howe move, isn't it? It was weird to get a knock over the international break though when he's suspended for the game after, but I don't know. We might get some news on it tomorrow, but I think that's one advantage of waiting with the 31 is that you can get potentially the best Newcastle asset there, because we'll probably get some news on it before the end. Villa we haven't talked about. I don't know what to do about Villa. I haven't got any Villa.
Sessio, I guess.
Yeah,
you looked at him.
I haven't got any Villa in my team. You look at the mids. I mean, it's really hard with the mids because they're just not getting any minutes. Like Asensio didn't play at all in the last game. Was it Brentford who played in the last game? He didn't even come on. Rashford hasn't been starting, but scored in the cup, took the penalty, looked good. Rodgers has been really poor. He's down in 58th for midfielders over the last 6. 2. And who is going to play? Given that they've got this massive Champions League game, plus they're through in the cup.
Yeah.
Could be anyone starting in those fixtures. Yeah. So
it's tough, isn't it? It really is tough to get. I don't think you're going to, apart from Rodgers, who will probably start both. I don't think you can say for sure Asensio or Rashford will start both Newcastle, Man City. If that double falls that way, you think it is going to fall there, don't we? I don't think you can bank on that, can you?
No.
And I'm bench boosting in that week, so I'm probably going to avoid Villa as well. Really, I want to try and maximise the doublers. I think that's. I haven't seen many.
Haven't you?
Well,
I have.
Really?
I've seen Deans.
I've seen Martinez in goal. I've seen him in a few wildcards today.
I've seen Deans, Mark. I've seen Luca Deans. I've seen him. I've seen a few Rashfords as well. I haven't seen Asensio.
I mean, it's the 2 starts. They'll definitely get minutes in both games. But it's the 2 starts, isn't it? I don't mind Martinez as an option.
Yeah, well, the
clean sheets for Villa have been frustrating all year.
The thing to put you off there is over the last 6 games, Villa are 19th for expected goals conceded.
Aren't they, defensively?
Yeah,
I don't know how many clean sheets it is. I'm going to have a look because to me they haven't seemed like they've very rarely been in our discussion in terms of defenders to get in, have they? I mean, I can't remember a time where, given that Martinez is the world's best goalkeeper, we've never really discussed him, have we? Never really crept in. Obviously, we had that dalliance with Luca Dean. I don't know whose idea that was. Someone even went on the TV show and talked about it.
Who would do that?
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
People don't learn. He's creeping in. Actually, I think I mean, at least when you said it, he was at least starting every game. Whereas now, surely
he got dropped immediately, didn't he?
Yeah, but surely Maatsen plays a couple games around all these fixtures because Dean's going to play both Champions League games and the
3 clean sheets they've kept.
Yeah,
Martinez has kept 3 clean sheets in 28 starts. That's absolutely shocking for a team of Villa's quality, isn't it?
They're a bit better now because they've got Konsa playing back at centre back. They've got Mings who's playing quite well. They look a little bit more solid. I think they've had a couple. I think they've had 2 clean sheets in the last 2 games, haven't they? Because they kept one against Brentford and then they did in the cup.
I think I'd rather have a Forest player, even though they don't have a double. Because I look at Forest and think, obviously United tomorrow night, Everton at home, Brentford at home, Spurs away, Palace away. We've got Leicester at home as well. I mean, Forest. I look at. Can you bring up the long-term ticket for Forest? Because I think United, Everton, Leicester, and Brentford's not on there, but we've got United, Everton, Leicester, and Brentford at home, and Chelsea final day. United, Everton, Brentford, Leicester. I think there's 3 clean sheets out of 4 there. The way we're. I mean, you saw our defence. We didn't really give you anything, really. I mean, Sells had to make 1 or 2 saves, but you got to say we defended well.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, we did pack the midfield on purpose, but I think that we're a much better bet defensively than Villa. So I'd probably rather have Sells with 1 less fixture than Martinez, I think.
I completely agree. Yeah, I'm surprised with how many people are picking Martinez, Konsas, Deans, when you could get like Neco Williams, for example, at 4-4. It is an absolute steal. I mean, he's suspended, isn't he, for the semi-final?
Yeah, he might not play. I've got a feeling Moreno might start tomorrow night for that reason as well, and because Moreno can't play at Villa because he's obviously on loan from Villa. So I think I wouldn't be shocked if Moreno starts because he needs to get some minutes in him ahead of the semi-final as well, doesn't he? So as long as you're not banking on Williams for tomorrow, I think Williams is an excellent bet because he'll play every game other than that.
Yeah.
And he's playing really well. So
he was awesome. I mean, your fullbacks were awesome the other night.
Aina was tremendous.
He is
must hurt you to say this.
So composed. Yeah, he's
it's funny. I was thinking this today. Like when we came to play you last season, I was really nervous before the game, and quite rightly because you dominated us. You only beat us 1-0, but it felt like there was a big gap between us and you quality-wise. And this time there wasn't a gap at all, and it was very, very even. And obviously, we defended really well and won the game on penalties. But it's crazy how much progress we've made in one season.
Yeah.
So, and that back four is just tremendous. And Sells has been great as well. So I even though they won't have a double, I think a Forest player is going to be in my team. I don't know if it probably will be a defender.
Yeah. I mean, what mid would you go for? Would you stick with Elanga?
Elanga for sure. Yeah.
Fast Tony. We shouldn't call it that. We shouldn't call it
it's Fast Tony official. I'm trying to make it catch on so that it turns into some kind of chant in the Forest crowd. So
he was dangerous. He was dangerous against us when you put him through the middle. He had a few chances. Like where he was very fast. I have to say, it was concerning.
It's the fact that he's playing down the middle, and with Awani, our only fit striker, I think there's every chance that Awani goes off on 70 minutes tomorrow night, for example, and Elanga plays the last 20 down the middle.
Yeah.
Because we haven't really got anyone. I guess Jota Silva could come on, but Elanga will get time as the central striker, and even when he doesn't, Nuno's playing him in a role where he's flirting around that. So he's given Elanga free rein, which means he ends up down the middle a lot anyway. So, well, I said this before the Ipswich game, didn't I? I said, get Milenkovic and Elanga, and what happened? They both came in. So annoying, and I got neither of them.
I couldn't believe it when I saw Milenkovic with the goal. At one point, he was on for a goal assist and a clean sheet. And I was like, bloody hell, Mark has absolutely smashed it. So I looked at your team, and you're on about 15 points. I was like, oh, no.
Didn't get them in. And I said, didn't I, Elanga's going to play up against the slow centre-backs, and he did exactly that.
Yeah.
And, so annoying.
Doesn't count if you didn't
bring him in. No point. I can't claim any credit for it if I'm not doing it myself. So I'm not going to.
I mean, look at some of the other quizzes. I mean, we'll come to number 5 quickly. But, I mean, Bournemouth assets are... I was hoping Bournemouth won that game against Man City, obviously, because City already had the blank and the double potentially locked in when Villa got through. And I was hoping, because I want to stick with Kirkes and I want to get Cliver in because it's Ipswich, it's West Ham next. But that does feel like the area where maybe people are being a little bit risk averse and not risking it with taking the Bournemouth players out because of those two fixtures. But actually, when you look at the stats, over the last 6, Cliver is... I think he's doing better. He's in 14th at 0.52. But over the season, he's down in 55th over the year. Looking at Kirkes, I mean, Kirkes is down in 69th for defenders. He's got that. I mentioned Trippier's 0.05. That's where Kirkes is. And over the season, it's not much better for him. He's 74th. So
yeah, you've got to time it with him. He's not consistent match to match, is he? But he has those games where he's got an explosive return in him. So
6 attacking returns and those stats over the season is baffling.
But he's I guess the goals he's scored have been spectacular goals, low XG chances, and I guess the crosses, the assists he's got have been similar, and the crosses he's putting in he isn't putting things on a plate. Maybe that's what the data says. So, what's it actually say for crosses? Chances created per 90, 0.92. It's pretty good, but it's not in the top 10. No. He's not in the top 10 for chances created amongst these defenders. Yeah. Luca Dean is 1.44.
Well, this is it. I mean, you could choose to go against Kirkes and Cliver and get in, I don't know, like a Murphy or a Gordon or a Rashford, for example, and a Dean. Okay, let's take it that way. You could do Cliver and Kirkes to Rashford and Dean if you really wanted to go for that potential double game week.
I don't love Kirkes. I mean, I think Clivert's worth having.
Yeah.
I think he's by far their best player. And the penalties, of course. And I do think Bournemouth have still got plenty to play for. They want European football. I mean, I think Champions League's out their reach, but I think they want to get 5th or 6th, won't they, and try for it. But yeah, I think Kluivert's probably going to be in my wild card.
Yeah, ditching poor old Semenyo.
I think so. He's just so frustrating, isn't he? He's one of the most frustrating players this season. I think he has a lot of shots. Volume of shots has been high, although I think that has dropped off recently from what I've seen on the eye test. Can you bring up midfielders last 6? Where's he in that at the moment?
Didn't I say he's 14th, isn't he? It's not bad. 0.51 for Kluivert.
That's Kluivert.
Oh, you're talking about Semenyo?
Semenyo's down in 29th. Yeah. 0.42.
Yeah, right,
so, you know, earlier in the season, Semenyo was higher than Kluivert, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And his shot volume, he's now shots per 90 isn't even in the top 10, 2.67. Whereas I think after about 15 games, him and Eze were top 2 for shot volume. Eze's kept it up, like 4.72 in the last 6.
Yeah.
Well, that's, you know, two shots per 90 higher than Semenyo. Now, those two were neck and neck at the top before, so Semenyo has dropped off. And he needs shot volume because he's not a refined finisher, is he? I think he relies a lot on volume of shots, shot power, rather than placement and accuracy, is my impression.
I think that's very fair. Well, Neil was predicting a start for Dango.
What, over Evan Nelson?
I think Taverniers picks up a knock, and he's thinking there might be a bit of rotation after the game on Sunday. So again, that's good news for people who are looking to hold off on the wildcard potential. If still got him, you might get one more week out of him.
Well, I've got him, and he's on my bench, and I'm wildcarding. Maybe I shouldn't wildcard because I don't know.
You might.
I don't think that's a reason. I know you're itching to try and convince me not to wildcard. But
I'm annoyed that so many people are doing it because it felt like people were avoiding the Palace like triple up against Southampton, and we're going to wait a bit longer. And yeah, I was looking forward to, I don't know, stealing a march, and now everyone's doing the same thing. I mean, this is your team. We'll get back to the questions in a minute, but this is your team without the wildcard being played. I don't think it's that bad. I would say that.
No, but it's just a captaincy. If if I go Haaland to Mamouche and captain Mamouche, I don't think that is comparable in captaincy wise. I know I've seen Rob's graphic where Mamouche is the favourite for goals. I think it's 0.87 his projection for goals in this game week. So he probably is up there amongst the top 3 players to have. But I haven't got Salah, and I'll have 8 million in the bank. And that just feels like, what am I doing? And I'm playing Pickford at Liverpool. I've only got Munoz instead of any Palace attack. And Mbumo at Newcastle is not ideal. I don't know if I'll have Mbumo, sorry.
Whoa, careful.
And I'm taking price drops. I mean, there's price drops tonight as well. So for me, it's not bad. It's not awful. That is not absolutely essential wildcard. But I think if I don't play the wildcard, I'll lose ground, I'll lose value. And I think that outweighs the extra information I get by waiting for 31.
Would you captain Salah if you brought him in? Or when you bring him in on the wildcard?
Yeah, I think I probably will.
Because I'm probably going to stick it on Marmouche. Keep my target Leicester strategy going, which is currently 50-50 on that. But yeah. And I guess the other question for you, I mean, that brings us on to another one of the wildcard questions is Palmer, Saka, Foden. Because a lot of people are going to be having one of those, or at least having the money in to be able to move for Saka. Like I'm thinking, I'm seeing some Fodens. He's done nothing to deserve it. He's been awful, but he's got obviously the Leicester game and potential double. Palmer, would you keep him?
I don't mind it because the fixtures are good, aren't they? Ipswich at home in 32 is the problem. Everton at home in 34. It's not an easy game, but you'd still bank on him. But the thing is, we're thinking of Palmer as he was, aren't we? We're thinking of Palmer in elite level form, and he hasn't been that way for a long time, and he's had the injury now. So there is a question mark over whether he's worth retaining. I personally favour Saka now.
That's a good though, aren't they, over the last 6? I
mean, his numbers have been good, didn't they?
And it's Spurs. I was saying to Sam on the Q&A last week on Scout, if there's a team that can rejuvenate you, it's playing Spurs.
And I've gone 2-2 in this game. I think it'd be a game of goals. I am tempted to hold him and then move into Saka ahead of 33.
Yeah.
It's probably what I'm going to do. It means my wild card's probably only going to be about 5 or 6 changes.
Yeah.
I'm basically trying to set up the bench boost and maximise Palace at Southampton and fix my captaincy. That's basically what I'm going to do. But,
the Palmer move is not being enjoyed by the chat.
It's only holding him, isn't it? It's holding him for Spurs at home, and then the Ipswich game, and then moving to Saka in 33. So Palmer's got Spurs, Brentford, Ipswich.
Yeah,
those 3 fixtures they're not. There's returns there, but he's done nothing to really warrant. I mean, same as Foden, really. He hasn't really provided returns to warrant that faith, has he?
He's a lot of money. I mean, he's
yeah.
I mean, it will annoy me if I do end up with all this money in the bank and then Palmer does get a hat trick against Spurs, which could happen. That's not completely against the realms of possibility. I mean, if you look at my wildcard, I mean, if I went for, say I did Gordon to Saka or Palmer, who am I benching out of that lot? I've got the triple Palace, which I'm not going to touch. I've got Isak and Marmoush, Kluivert against Ipswich, Salah against Everton. I guess I would do Gordon to Palmer or Saka and play them, and then get rid of Kluivert and have a Rashford or
on the basis that Kluivert might not get more than an hour.
Yeah, or a Savinho. We haven't mentioned Savinho. He missed out. He missed out in the cup, but yeah, his stats are decent if we look at midfielders over the last 6.
The only thing with Savinho is, like, if you're banking on him being around for 33, he's not a certain starter, is he? So
same XGI non-penalty per night over the last 6 than Salah. 0.46.
It's just the security of starts not there, is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I did a sportscasting article where I was quite hot on Savinho, but I think I'm ready. He might have missed out in the cup because he had a baby rather than anything else.
Partner had a baby, yeah.
Well, yeah.
I hope.
It's a joint effort having a baby. So
I know.
So I'm told.
Kluivert had one recently, didn't he? Yeah,
he did. Yeah. Has he done the celebration yet? Has he scored since?
I think he has scored, but I didn't see the celebration. I thought he had since the baby. Yeah,
he strikes me as a guy who would do the rocking baby.
He would. Yeah. I like Savinho as a player, and again, he's another one that really, like Martinez, has never really entered the conversation that much, but for different reasons. I mean, Martinez hasn't had clean sheet form. Savinho has had some form this season, but the midfield spots have been so hard to break into, haven't they? That's the trouble. There's so much competition there. Like, if we were absolutely certain that he'd start the double game week, if somebody said now, he's going to get the 2 starts, he's in the conversation. But I don't really want to go into 33 in a bench boost thinking Savinho is going to get 100 minutes and not 140.
I mean, I think he starts Leicester.
Yeah,
which does make him. It does make him a bit tempting.
As a differential, yeah.
He's just a bit. He's a bit all fart no poo though, isn't he? Like when you watch him.
Bring that one back, yeah. I get what you're saying.
Him and Doku, they're very similar, aren't they, in terms of what they actually deliver in that final bit. I mean, he's got 10 assists, I think, this season, but a lot of those came quite early on. He's had a good run of games recently, but he still hasn't really been getting the returns.
And does it change it with Haaland out? Does it mean that Foden, Savinho, even Doku are going to be given more license to shoot because? Mamouche, he is a striker, but he's not in the same mould as Haaland. He's going to be more mobile. He's going to take up areas that Haaland doesn't. He's going to be part of the build-up. So does that mean that Foden, is more likely to be given, permission to raid the box and get in more shooting areas? We've seen him get a hat-trick this season already. I don't know. And Savinho the same. But I mean, as far as they're saying Mamouche is the only, I kind of agree with that. I don't think anyone else has warranted the attention. It's only really a conversation because the Leicester game is like, can you steal a march and get a differential? I think. Again,
I mean, it's potentially beneficial to those waiting with a wild card for 31 because if we did get a big performance from Foden or Savinho or someone in this Leicester game, you've got to then think it's probably going to give them a couple of weeks sort of in the side, but then maybe working against them. Maybe they'll be too good, and then they want to save them for the semi-final.
Yes, and you're reading Pep's mind again, aren't you? Which we've all tried that. I mean, I've loved doing that, but it's very, very, very difficult to do. I think at the moment he's even more predictable because it's not going well, is it? Yeah, and the semi-final is going to be on his mind. I mean, they've still got to get a Champions League place, of course. It's not a given.
No.
So they've got lots to play for. But yeah, what does a good performance mean now? Does it mean that he's a regular in the team in the league, or does it mean that he's prioritised for the semi-final? You're right.
Well, Ryan says there he's a decent shout, but there are too many better mids. If there's just not enough space, that is what it feels like.
It's been like that all season, Ryan, hasn't it, for him?
Feels like he's being shoehorned in a little bit by some people. I did flirt with the idea, but Kluivert just seems very boring.
He does, yeah. I mean, I put Fast Tony ahead of Savinho myself.
Would you put him ahead of Kluivert?
Probably not. I don't know. I mean, Bournemouth got the double, haven't they? And Forest won't have. But we've got better fixtures, I think. No, I think Kluivert edges it with the pens, you see. I don't want it to come down to the pens because that just seems really dull, but it's got to be a key factor, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yep. We've got a couple of minutes left. I thought I'd run through some team data. We look at the last 6 again. Another, reason why I'm considering the triple Palace attack is they are top of the attacking data over the last 6. They are doing basically exactly what they did last year, which is they have really, really come on leaps and bounds. A chance per 90 of 15.3. That's the joint highest in the league, along with Chelsea. An extra non-point per 90 of 2.38 is absolutely ridiculous. I think defensively they might struggle, but I do see goals in quite a lot of the fixtures they've got going forward, hence that triple up. Brighton in second, which is interesting. We've got a couple of tough games and we've got a decent run as well. I was hoping to have like a Matoma or a Minte or a Pedro maybe in my side, but without the double, it's going to be hard to go for. Forest is down in 12th. So another reason why potentially look at us outside of Chris Wood, although Fast Tony is an option. Newcastle in 14th and Arsenal in 15th, obviously without Saka. But you've got to think that's going to change with him coming back.
Surprising to see Newcastle drop so far when they were right in the top 3 or 4 not long ago.
How do you think they're going to be after the Cup? It's quite difficult to get back into it after such a massive win,
but again, they've got to get top 5, haven't they? They've got to get that Champions League place. I mean, this is a team with all to play for still, and their tails up. So, it's between Forest, Newcastle, Chelsea, and City, isn't it, for the Champions League places? You've got to think Arsenal got it,
and Brighton.
So there's 3 more up. There's 3 more up for grab. I don't see Brighton.
Well, fifth is a possibility.
Yeah, I guess so. I just think your fixtures are tough, quite tough.
The next 2 are if we can get the next week.
Yeah.
If in the next week we've got knocked out of the FA Cup and we pick up 1 point versus Palace and Villa, that's our season finished.
Well, you're playing Palace when they're right on a high.
I know.
And they always want to be
thrashed us earlier as well.
I think at Villa you could go and win. I think Villa aren't in a great spell of consistency at all. I mean, they're mid-table here. I think their defence you've seen are right near the bottom. So I think you can go to Villa and win. I think the Palace game is really tough for you, though. It always is, isn't it? So I think you'd be happy with 3 points out of 2 games. I think it's most likely to come at Villa, to be honest.
I think if
you only pick up a point, I think you're out of it.
If we can get 4 points, I'd say we've got a decent run after that. We've got a chance of 5th. If we pick up a point, I think that's probably us done. Defensively, Arsenal. So I've got double Arsenal defence in my wildcard. That's mainly because Arsenal was second in the league. They just look back to being that team that's just going to keep quite a few shutouts. But look at that, Palace in 3rd as well.
Yeah,
you can't really go wrong. This is the thing. You can't go wrong if you triple up on the attack. You get Munoz. Whoever. I was surprised to see City so high up. They're in 6th over the last 6 as well, and they've had tough games. 2, so might start to be picking up a little bit. Forest in 12th, again, surprised to see them so low down, but they've had tough games. Newcastle too, and we mentioned Villa earlier in the pod, down in 19th.
It makes sense that Newcastle were low in attack and defence given their fixtures, right? So that kind of makes sense. I still think they're worth investing, and Isak is for the 2 home games in the double. We've got to go there. I think Murphy's where I'm going to go for the second, and then I'll go one of their defenders. I wish it was simpler and we could just go Burn, but you're right. There's concern, isn't there? So Livramento, not surprisingly, is the most popular choice because I think he's most nailed.
If there was one of them that had great stats, I'd be tempted to go for it. Trippier, you're paying for the history of what he can do. I haven't seen any evidence that he's that player that he was.
What do you think to Pope?
Yeah, well, we haven't talked about keepers. I mean, keepers is actually quite a big decision. I think Sells and Areola or Sells and Verbruggen is popular. But, there's other ways you can go. You've got Pope there. To Henderson as well, I've seen in a few teams too. And don't forget, if you've got the assistant manager chip, it's even harder because you probably want to give that to Glasner, and then that means you can't have 3 of the combination. So I'm bloody glad I haven't got that chip to worry about.
It's funny, isn't it? Because that's why, in a way, the cost of the manager doesn't matter. It's not being able to have 3 of their players is almost the price you pay for going the assistant manager from that team, because you're obviously going to go as an assistant manager who's got good fixtures. And Glasner at the moment it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
He's got to be with
31, 32, 33 or 32, 33.
Great form. You're going to get a couple of table bonuses, I think, if the fixtures fall. 4 games, it's easy. I mean,
it's just the volume of games, isn't it? I mean, I don't think the fixtures are great for them. I mean, they're away at City, Newcastle and Arsenal. I mean, but they only need a draw in one of those, don't they? And it becomes worth it.
I mean, you mentioned Pope. I mean, for me, Sells and Raya are just such standouts. You could get them both, but you're paying a lot of money, which means you're probably getting one and then a cheaper option alongside. And I don't really see where Pope fits into that. I mean, Sells and Pope isn't an awful combination. You could play Pope in the double, and then play Sells for the rest. I don't hate that, but you could just get Livramento for 4-5 and pay a little bit less.
I like Sells and Raya, I think.
You're going to get both?
Well, I'm going to look at it. I mean, I'm going to look at it in the half an hour.
You're going to look at everything. You've got to cram it in.
I don't know how I'm going to do it. That's going to be, Pip's going to say, "Do you want to meet for lunch?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm busy.
I've got to work out Sells or Raya." Got very important work.
It's like, no one wants to play a wildcard in their lunch hour at work, do they? But I guess. Have you seen the world number 1 and Susan Clark?
Yeah, it's amazing.
What a story that is. I mean, that really kind of should reassure us that you don't need to do what we do, which is.
You didn't even use the first wild cards. You don't even need to plan for it. Just let it burn.
I mean, she does do her own form of planning. That's clear, but it's a more kind of old school approach, isn't it? And I can't imagine she is playing her wild card with the level of research that some of the rest of the community have. It's probably going to be similar to the level of research I'm going to have.
Probably more than probably giving it more thought than I would have done if I was world number 1, or maybe I wouldn't. But it's working for her, not being quite.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant for all kinds of reasons, not least because it's not what we'd associate with it. We thought that the winners now will always be managers who are keyed into the analytics or keyed into content creators or both, and it's not. And I guess it reaffirms that there is a degree of variance involved. But it's great that old-fashioned watching football and doing your pen and paper working out can be successful. It's great.
I'd love if she went on and won it. Because we had the Newcastle guy, didn't we? Who was top for ages, and he really milked it. Like I saw all over socials. He was doing interviews.
Yeah, that was good.
It was amazing. But then he's been replaced by like the complete opposite type person, very reserved, doing a few things, not talking about all of our strategies.
I do love it that the number ones, whoever it is, are getting attention before the end of the season. It used to be that only the winner when they won it, but now obviously the Premier League and other. Obviously, I think Susan was in The Guardian, wasn't she? So other outlets are keeping an eye on who's number 1 and then trying to generate stories from that. And I think that's really clever. I think it's good. It's worthwhile. Gives people, Oscar was number 1 in the world for a while, wasn't he? And I don't think he got some oxygen that he created himself, but he didn't get too much attention for that. But, it's changing. It's great.
I've been in The Guardian.
You have. That was for very different reasons, wasn't it? It was FPL related, though.
I'm basically in winning FPL. It wasn't actually The Guardian. It was the Daily Star. Similar standards of journalism.
You are more Daily Star than Guardian. Is that what you're saying?
Just a bit. We'll finish in a sec. I just thought I'd mention Rob T because I've got his graphics on here. The Pritchard goals and the clean sheet odds for game week 30 that we look at every week. Arsenal, 2 goals predicted, 50% the most likely for a clean sheet, which I was slightly surprised at, given that's higher than Man City, for example. 46%. Liverpool 46%. I'm not buying that. You never know. We can't. Is it going to be another Moyes masterclass?
Should be a clean sheet, I think. But,
yeah. Palace 38% against Southampton. So yeah, that's what I mean. The double Arsenal defence looks good this week and beyond, going forward. And yeah, in terms of goals, Man City expected to score the most with 3. Then it's Bournemouth 2.4. Chelsea though 2.3, which does make not having Palmer a little bit concerning. Teams to target. This is kind of what we talked about just a second ago. It's really City, Bournemouth, and Chelsea for this week in terms of the attack, and Arsenal, Man City. I mean, Liverpool aren't getting much love at all. Other than Salah, I'm not seeing any other Liverpool players in people's teams. Not even a Konate. Alisson's not being mentioned.
No double, of course.
Yeah.
And where'd you go? Szoboszlai?
Bradley? I mean, potentially Bradley with Trent out?
Yeah, I guess long term, though, it's not certain. I guess we think that Bradley's going to play most games now before the end of the season because of the contract situation, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
Bradley's red flagged as well.
Yeah, he's injured, yeah. He's out. Yeah, saying. Yeah,
is your mate back in the team? Konsa.
Konsa.
Get him in.
But I guess that puts a doubt over the legitimacy of the Liverpool defence as well, given they've got no fullback. Konsa will fill in, but he is filling in. So in tougher games, though, I mean, they will concede, I think. And plus, I think that the issue is that they'll tie up the league, won't they? I would have thought within 2 or 3 game weeks it'll be over. And then what happens, in terms of selection and what they've got to play for? I mean, I guess that casts a doubt over keeping Salah in a wild card, but I will get him if I wild card ahead of tomorrow because it's obviously with the short term in mind. Whether I hold him, I don't know.
Yeah. We'll post our predictions on Discord, so check the link in the description to get involved in that. I'm going to really try and push that next year. I want the Discord to be a more sociable place. It's a little bit quiet over there at the moment, so if you do want to get involved and help us out, build that community, that'd be great. So I'll post the predictions over there and the screens as well that we talked about in this video. Shout out to the BlackBox League with Tristan Day at the top. He had a big week with 73. He's moved ahead of Steve Bunn, Alex Herkjulen, Bilal Atalbi, Joe Collins, Jake Poplowski, Abinov C, Greg Cook, Ronald Rutel, and Brian Ruggiero, the top 10. And obviously in our Godfather League for the Patreons, Jamie is still top, although he has just lost about 20 points to Jeremiah, who's now only 20 points behind him. Steve Hurst is third, Jose De La Roca in fourth, James Roll in fifth, Jonathan Tingate in sixth, Rob McCritchie in seventh, Ryan Mendelsohn in eighth, Jeff Turner in ninth, and he has fallen away. Planet FPL James down to 10th with 33 points. What happened? Oh dear.
He's been in this top 10 all season because we've commented, and now he is hanging on by his fingernails.
I know. And he hasn't got the bench boost. He hasn't got the free hit because he did the World Cup. He did made his transfers by accident, didn't he? Without.
He did. I mean,
Oh,
dear. Playing a chip by accident is perfectly reasonable if it's not your bench boost.
1981. How far actually are we from him? 1981. You're about 60 points behind him. You could do it. You could do it. I'm about 70. It's probably a little bit much. So yeah, World Cup button tonight.
Well, I think I have to because there's going to be price changes. So I think I'm going to press the button, make a few changes before bed, and then I normally wake up. I've been waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning these days. So
you're going to be up at 3 o'clock then tomorrow.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to be up early. I'll get some hours in before work, and then I don't really want to leave it till lunchtime. I definitely don't want to leave it till deadline because my boss will probably put a late meeting in, and then that'll scupper my plans. Yeah, plus I want to think about Forest after work, not FBL.
Yeah.
So yeah, I need to get it done. It's going to be. I'm trying to think back at wildcards I've played and whether I played any as rushed before. I think I have. I think I've done rushed wildcards before, and they haven't all been disastrous. I don't think. Have you done one at short notice? Ever done one Friday night? Not Saturday.
Well, we did the stream, didn't we? Where you and Andy absolutely tore mine apart. That was last season. Yeah, that was fun. It went all right in the end. It didn't go great, but it could have gone worse. I think sometimes you just look at your team and you need it. You just think I've got to do it. And I looked at my team before the international break and just thought Dango, Trent, Hall, Pickford, Robinson. I don't want any of these players anymore, and I did it. And there'll be some people that hold on to it for next week or for the weekend when they probably should have done it this week. So my advice is just do it. But
I've had 2 red arrows as well, and I've kind of slipped down to
you have.
like a very average rank. I was around 150k and on the up, and now I've slipped down the last 2 games. So I think I've got to stem that tide.
Yep.
And being hesitant isn't the way to do it, I don't think. So
yep.
Yeah, we'll see how many changes I make and what I bring in. But there's one thing for sure: there's a lot of wildcard teams floating around, so there's plenty of guidance in terms of what you could do. I want to try and do something different. I don't want to be totally template. So maybe it will be Forest that I look at to help with that. Maybe I do go Tony.
Fast Tony.
It's tempting. I think he'll do well tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Against United.
Yeah.
So,
excellent stuff. Thanks for joining us for this shortened version of BlackBox. I think this is probably the shortest stream we've ever done, Mark. Just over an hour.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, hopefully I'm back in the shed next week.
Yep.
And won't have my PC, but I can get the Mac up and running in there, and so I won't have to throw the family out and a bit early. So,
the tech's held up though. Sound's been good and drops
out.
Yeah,
it's all right. You haven't seen the temporary setup I've got here on the kitchen table. It's pretty chaotic, and I've got to clear it up before I go as well. So can't leave that till morning, so I'll hear about that. So
amazing.
Yes, apologies for the shortened version tonight, but we had to do something because the wildcard was active. Mine's active. I might post what I'm doing before deadline tomorrow. I haven't posted my team before deadline for a while, but I'm sure people will be wanting to see all the wildcards, mine included. So I'll see what I can do.
Yep. Excellent. Like the stream if you haven't already. Make sure you subscribe to FPL BlackBox. Join Discord. Like I mentioned, I'll post those screens over there later tonight. And yeah, we won't be doing one ahead of Gameweek 31, but Mark and I will be back next week ahead of Gameweek 32.
Good night from me.
Good night, everyone.